JED in the region here on AM 1230 WJOB and 104.7 FM. And also live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I'm live from the Purdue Northwest Commercialization Manufacturing Excellence Center in Hammond, Indiana, on the at the Strachan Van Til Studios. Let's go right to it. I am not doing a JED in America segment this morning. I am so sorry. You know what? Ever since yesterday when Chuck Pullen was in with me and he said, at some point you're going to have to put a sneeze button on there. And if you don't know what a sneeze button is, this red button, you just press it and it basically mutes the mics. And we put the studio in and I said, well, I really don't want to do that because it's another piece of machinery out here. It's just a little dinky button, a little kill switch, basically. And it's not a big deal to put in, but I said, well, if somebody's sitting there and they don't know how to turn the mics down in a hurry, then, they probably shouldn't be doing it. And ever since he said that, I have just been sneezing all day, and I just sneezed again. So it just goes to show you. I don't know what it goes to show you. It goes to show you that I am just totally out of my sorts these days as I'm in my finals week, and it has just basically beat me up. And then for 6 hours on Tuesday, I had to help my wife write her commencement. She's giving the commencement speech over here at Purdue. And then I've gone to a ton of community stuff. So it has just, I'm like a little bit foggy. So you guys are going to pull me through here today for a couple of hours. And we've got a whole bunch of people coming in. We've got Larry Moore and Jermaine Boyette out of Hammond High coming around at around 7:30. So that ought to be interesting. We'll talk a little basketball, a little what their project is, what they're trying to get done. And, of course, we got Kuziak and Reardon at 8 o'clock. We have some other people before that. But right now, let's take a look at the traffic. It's been a pretty light day. I've been up since like 3:50 and just kind of checking the traffic and watching Derek Young and Megan Claros. And their traffic's been pretty good all morning long as they're just a little bit of dissonance at the merge going in, or the Bishop Ford going into the Dan Ryan at the merge. So other than that, it's kind of weird. There's really nothing, not anywhere in the whole Chicago area that really is a huge thing that is outside of the norm. You do have that little problem at the merge, and then, of course, as you go into Jane Byrne, it's pretty tight, but that's expected. And this traffic is brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana from Torrance Avenue in Lansing. And what is happening in the weather, another 80-degree day. We went 207 days without any real 80-degree days, and we had it yesterday, and we have it again today. Mostly cloudy, though, and breezy. Maybe a little thunderstorm here and there. Really was kind of warm. Left the windows open last night. It is 67 degrees here at the Strachan Van Til Studios on the campus of Purdue Northwest. Tomorrow it gets up to about 74, showers and a heavier thunderstorm, kind of like a rainy spring day or even a summer day. And then Friday, high of 68, clouds giving way to some sun. Should be a beautiful day. Same thing on Saturday, sunny to partly cloudy. And then Sunday, a high of 63, cooler with a shower possible. And weather this morning is brought to you by Laborers Local 41, of which I'm very much a proud alum of that fine union. Let's take a look at what's going on around the Calumet region. Ryan just caught you up with sports, and I appreciate that. But I went yesterday to front page of the Times. Governor has love for the region, and he certainly did yesterday at the Business Hall of Fame dinner at Avalon Manor in Maryville. 5 people were inducted, and they were, I can do it by memory, Jeff Strack out of Strachan Van Til Grocery Stores for his amazing rescue of the Strachan Van Til grocery stores. Bill Hassey, another local product here. He took over Hassey Construction in 1984 when his dad had health problems, or I think he may have even passed, but he's been running that for a long time, Hassey Construction. And then Scott Albanese of Albanese Construction, and Terry McMahon, a 1956 Hammond High graduate, right over here as an accountant in Munster. And then Dr. Vidya Kora, Vidya, Vidya Kora out of LaPorte County. So all five of those got into the Business Hall of Fame. But the keynote speaker was Governor Eric Holcomb. He said Tuesday that Northwest Indiana, according to the Times, this was their event. He said Tuesday that Northwest Indiana offers the best of both worlds with its position in the Chicago metro area and through the tax and cost of living advantages of Indiana. It was a real, I guess, a love fest for the region is a good way of putting it. And I did take some notes, and where are my notes here? What is today? So yesterday that would have been about halfway through it. Here it is. I've got some notes on his speech, and he basically talked about the difference between Indiana and Illinois, about how much better it was to live on this state side of the state line. He also talked about the train, and of course that was a big factor for Northwest Indiana and how you needed to be able to take people north and south through the county and take them into Chicago. And Chuck Pullen would have loved it. He, Governor Holcomb, also talked about the pace of change in the world, and is Indiana keeping up with that pace of change? And I don't think that we are, to be honest with you. And then he also talked about going to a summit in Los Angeles about the future of tomorrow. So, everybody's got to position themselves in a way. If you look around and you say, like, you position yourself, Strachan Van Til positions himself as a hometown grocer. You have Panera positioning itself as the low cost. Well, it's not even so much low cost, but the reasonably priced, healthy alternative. What else do you have? Give me an example. McDonald's. I'm worried about McDonald's, by the way. The big bridge is under construction here on Indianapolis Boulevard between Webb Ford and Meyer. And it's difficult to travel up and down that way. And you'll notice that there's so much more traffic, like through, what is it, Deer Creek? What is that, Deer something in Dyer? There are a lot of people cutting through there. There's a lot more traffic on Calumet Avenue, and there's a lot more traffic on Kennedy Avenue. So Indianapolis Boulevard is losing car counts right now. If you have a business on there, I got to believe that it's down 20% or maybe even more, maybe a third. And part of it is you just can't make it through the gauntlet of going over that big bridge. And if you go over that, it's really, first of all, they're not allowing wide loads on that thing, and they're not allowing more than 10 feet wide loads. And part of that is it's so narrow on both sides. Alexis and I went 3 times to Lowe's yesterday, and we were able to pick something up that we had bought. And on the way back, I had all this stuff in there, and I had borrowed a huge pickup. And I'm like, I better not, Alexa's like, you better not go on that bridge. All right, well, good enough. We didn't go on the bridge. We had to take little side circuitous routes around. But I also noticed that I've been going by that McDonald's, and they must either do so much of their business by drive-through, because there's just not very many cars parked out there. And I think every time I go by, you're just like the curious onlooker if you're on the radio. You got to like notice stuff. And there might be 3 or 4 cars in the drive-through, but there's not that many out front. And I was wondering if that's an effect of the bridge, and I'm just starting to notice it, or if their entire business is kind of turned around there. But anyways, the governor was in there, and Bill, let me see, I'll talk to some of these other guys here. Bill Hassey, I took some notes on each one of them and emailed them to myself. And La Carahomahina, let's see. I also ran into Eddie Melton, Chuck Hughes, Paco the clothes guy. I mean, there was a lot of folks out there. I didn't realize. I forgot how much of a big deal. Pete Viscosky was there. Pete Pete Viscosky. I don't know if this was a semi-political discussion or not, but he said that Northwest Indiana had to continue to have tolerance. And I thought that was interesting. That I don't know if he was kind of rubbing that in the Republican Holcomb's face, or if it was just like, hey, you know what, tolerance, we all get it, we all need tolerance, and it wasn't a party thing. Typically, I'm not very good at this, like, staying away from stuff you're not supposed to talk about or whatever. But in some instances, you would stay away from saying the word tolerance because it has been, uh, it has been, I guess, kind of one of the issues here in Indiana is, are we a tolerant state? Starting with the Mike Pence kind of anti-gay perceptions and so forth. So, but all in all, the Times puts on an excellent job with their Business Hall of Fame. It really is well done. And I've been to a lot of Hall of Fame stuff, and you need to acknowledge those in the business community who have provided jobs and have stepped forward in the business community to kind of innovate and do things and keep people employed. And there's a lot of people that fall into that. So I guess you can nominate people for the Business Hall of Fame, and I've got a couple that I want, and I might think about mentioning to these guys. But anyways, there it was. That was yesterday out at Avalon. Kind of a long program, and I kind of ran out of gas, to be quite honest with you. Hey, what else? What else is going on in the Calumet region? Still fallout from that fire of the Straub building downtown. According to the Times, Hammond Mayor Tom McDermott was there yesterday, also at the Business Hall of Fame awards. And I'm missing, Monosol. Monosol also got an award. The guy didn't come. He sent his vice president, but they were also honored. According to the Times, Mayor Tom McDermott said the loss of the 1916 historic Straub building in a fire this week was a significant blow to the city's downtown area. It's sad. We had hoped to redevelop that building and try to rebuild downtown Hammond. Obviously, it's another blow to downtown Hammond for sure. It's a beautiful building, he said. So the building actually had been bought by the Redevelopment Commission downtown for $110,000. The plan was to purchase a liquor license for $20,000 and begin attracting a restaurant operation to the building. It's right across the street from where I had a business and from where my uncle, a generation before, had a business. They had McGee's, if you remember McGee's, and then I had opened up Steel Toe Joe and had opened up a trading operation there. It's a beautiful building. I think I've been in it a couple times, and it was a beautiful building. The fire is considered suspicious because the building was vacant and without gas or electric service. Cause of the weekend fire that destroyed the historic building may never be known. The fire crews first received calls about 4 a.m. Sunday of smoke rising from the basement of the building. The fire spread, eventually causing the roof of the two-story building to collapse, which, just from watching Chicago fire and other backdraft and so forth, is a very dangerous situation when the roof collapses. Luckily, no firefighters were on that. And what do you guys think about this? And I have stayed away from the topic of downtown Hammond because of basically two business ventures that could have gone better, and that was my uncle having McGee's in the late 70s and the 80s, and then then when I went down there thinking that bringing the high school down there and some of the other stuff was gonna make a big difference. It took a while to get the high school, but it really just never got the traffic. Now, I will say this, that downtown Hammond, when I was a kid, and there's got to be people that are also in this similar genre, was a big deal. It was a big deal to go downtown Hammond. And we would go down there to shop. You go down to Goldblatt's and Gosh, now I'm not even remembering any of the names. We'd go down to Ravens to buy an appliance. Later, I'd go down to Army Navy all the time. They always had the coolest, like not grunge, but yeah, I guess kind of grunge, but kind of alternative stuff. You're kind of, you don't want to wear a polo. You want to wear something a little bit different. And then you go down to Army Navy surplus. One of the coolest things to do was to go to downtown Hammond and to go to the Rocky Horror Picture Show at nighttime. Was that the Parthenon or the Paramount? Somebody text that to me, 219-845-1100. That was two theaters, and I don't know how many rock concerts I saw. It's not like now. You don't realize that you could just turn on your phone and you could watch Gloria Gaynor, or you could watch Ozzy perform. Finished with my woman 'cause she couldn't help me with my mind. And you could get all of that stuff on your phone or on your TV, or you could go, you even have videos. You couldn't really see rock concerts unless you were there. You know what I mean? Other than going to theaters and seeing them on the screen and watching them. And I used to be a big fan of that in the late 70s. And even when I went to college, I would go to a lot of movie screenings of rock concerts. And they had a lot of that in downtown Hammond. And what was the name of that pizza place in downtown Hammond? It was like a little grape pizza or something. And they had live music down there. Doug Norris and Lee Watson. Lee Watson actually has a place in downtown Hammond, now that I think about it. He has Green Cow Working Space. Wow, that had to be like right next door to this. Right? Wow, let me think about this. Wow, wonder how his place is. Ryan, see if we can interview Lee Watson, okay? And I'd like to see how his Green Cow Working Space is going. And, let's just do this live on the air. I ran into a lot of people yesterday, and here's a list of the people that I want you to get on. Eddie Melton says he'll come on with us. He is the state senator, and as soon as the special session is over, we're going to bring him in, and he's going to sit with us. I had a long talk with him. There's a woman by the name of Gabby who is working at Purdue, and she is from Mexico, and I think she's going back soon, and I'd like to interview her. Chuck Hughes and I had a long talk about the Gary Sports Hall of Fame, so we will have that coming. And Paco the Clothes Guy, you know him? Yeah, we're going to come in and we're going to talk recent fashion trends. So I got our whole show yesterday from the Business Hall of Fame Awards. We will get that in. But I want you to add Lee Watson in there. He's got a Green Cow Working Space in downtown Hammond. And I just want to talk to him what he thinks about what's happening in downtown Hammond and what the future is of it. Does anybody remember? I can tell you the concerts that I went and saw. Went and saw The Wall, Pink Floyd, The Wall down there. Went and saw Gimme Shelter. Went and saw The Song Remains the Same from Led Zeppelin. Let's see, who else had one? Woodstock a number of times. I think there was like a half a dozen that they kind of rotated, like famous rock films. We got a ton of spots, my friends, and I'll be right back.
You do have a choice for a new beginning. Vote Wally DeRose for Lake County Sheriff. He has an outstanding record as police commander, federal agent, and Army veteran. Integrity, honor, and a lifetime of service in Lake County. Paid for by the committee to elect Wally DeRose.
Hello, my name is Patrick O'Rourke. On behalf of the Hammond Teachers Federation, I am proud to support Mara Candelaria Reardon for 12th District State Representative. She is a proven fighter for teachers and students in Northwest Indiana. On May 8th, please join me in casting your vote for Mara Candelaria Reardon for State Representative District 12.
Paid for by citizens for Mara Candelaria Reardon.
John Salzader, Democratic candidate for North Township Advisory Board. You have heard me on these airways before talking about my family charity, its events, and the groups it supports. Now I've decided to run for your North Township Board. I am well qualified and ready to work for you. Elect John Salzader.
Approved and paid for by the committee to elect John Salzader. On May 8th, vote for Democrat Andrew Silvestrowitz for Lake County Clerk of Circuit Courts. Andrew is a qualified Democrat and has 12 years of experience as a councilman in Maryville at every facet of government. Make your vote count with Andrew Silvestrowitz for Clerk of Circuit Courts. Paid for by Committee to Elect Democrat Andrew Silvestrowitz.
I am Andrew Silvestrowitz, and I approve this message.
Good morning, everybody. AM 1230 WJOB in Hammond, Indiana. I'm Jim Diedlow, host of JED in the region, hanging out with you guys on a beautiful Wednesday morning, May 2nd of 2018. And let's take a look at what the traffic's going on. We're going into the election season, as you guys can see. And I'll just tell you how we do it is that in the past, we've gone and took on new advertisers and had a bunch of political ads. So we kind of just don't do that for like a month. And then we just, we know we're going to get a lot of political ads. And rightfully so that you guys can learn who's running and let everybody put forth their positions. And, people, they work their butts off to, make the money or have fundraisers and stuff. And then they bring it over here, and we appreciate that. But so it's a long string of people who are running and want to tell you about their candidacy. So we'll have a number of those this morning and maybe just a little bit more frequent breaks. How's that sound? Hey, a high of 80 today, mostly cloudy and breezy. And tomorrow, high of 74, showers and a heavier thunderstorm. By Friday, a high of 68. And Saturday, a high of 74, sunny to partly cloudy. So warm day today. I think my daughter's going to try to go to the beach. It's a little gray out to the east now. And I think if you're going to go to the beach, you might want to go early. Isn't it crazy? We were just sitting outside a week and a half ago, last Monday, in 27-degree weather, and I was all bundled up. Now we're talking about going to the beach. And the weather is brought to you, this one is brought to you by Carpenter's Local 599 right across the city of Hammond, where it is right now, 67 degrees. It's 69 degrees at Local 395 in Portage. Don't forget the hard hat outing is coming up on Saturday, and it will go off at Whitehawk. And the contractors and the union guys and the clients all get together and try to make one happy family out of it. And usually it is. Once in a while, guys have words like, that's not a gimme and stuff like that. But it's kind of weird over the years how it has evolved to a much more, I wouldn't say, I would just say it's less contentious because it's still contentious between labor and management at times. But it's just not what it was when I was in the laborers union in the late 70s and the early 80s. All right, what else is going on around here? No one has texted me about any of those concerts, pennies, minuses. That's right. But no one nobody remembers going to those things. Man, that was like a huge deal. The Rocky Horror Picture Show. Here, let me make a list. All right. It's Gimme Shelter. And what I was talking about is what are the kind of the old rock films that played at the Paramount and the Parthenon when they were in downtown Hammond, and they would have them at nighttime. And it was a weird scene. A lot of times it would play at like 11 or midnight. Can you imagine that now? And I remember a number of times going and playing a high school basketball game and couldn't wait to get over there because Song Remains the Same was playing. Hey, Ryan. La Carabajonia, Hesquimpo. Gimme Shelter. What do we have? That Song Remains the Same. And let's see, Rocky Horror Picture Show. And I didn't realize until later who that woman was. Do you know who that woman was that played the young girl that gets caught in the Rocky Horror, Rocky's problem there? Let's see. Sorry, I mean, same. The Wall. The Wall was my favorite, man. And I'll just tell you straight out, that was when people say that they have, for the very first time, legalized marijuana in Illinois. That is not true, okay? And there was a number of places. Hay was the JED app in the Straub building. I haven't heard you talk about it in a long time, Marine Pete. Pete, All right, here's the deal. We're doing the Hey JED app, and I will roll it out, and I wanted to test it with a few people, and we did. The problem is that the guy developing it is going to high school, and he's a junior over here at Gavitt. So there were so many fixes that we wanted to make to it that I just said basically, all right, let's wait till you're done with your school and let's fix it over the summer. So that's a good one. Quadrophenia. Oh, Pinball. I think Pinball Wizard played there. No, the Who had an early. Was that their earliest movie, Quadrophenia, for the Who? See, they had Quadrophenia. They had Pinball Wizard. Anyways, I lose it. You know, one of the ones that still my favorite, by far my favorite rock movie. What's your favorite rock movie? Come on. It has to be Woodstock. Please, people, do not. I want to just repeat this. Do not take the brown acid. Just whatever you do. All right, anyways, 219-845-1100. Anything on your mind at 6:30? We've got Kathy Grimler calling in. We're going to talk about a run for a guy by the name of Dan. And it's a very sad story, but it's the Dan Strong 5K run and walk, and it's this Saturday, and it's going to be at 9 a.m., and we will talk a little bit with her about that. It is to celebrate the life of Dan Runyon, a science teacher and a track coach. He passed away in February. It'll go to the Runyon family, and it'll be at Grimmer Middle School and run through the neighborhoods behind Grimmer Middle School in Cherville. And joggers, strollers are welcome, but just no pets. All right, guys, 219-845-1100. Let's take some phone calls. Let's see how Omar's been doing. Omar, what have you been doing?
Nothing much, man. Just listening to you and reminiscing. You were in California like in the late 70s, right?
No, I didn't go there until September 14th of 1980. So I graduated high school in 1980. Tommy was the movie. It wasn't Pinball Wizard. It was Tommy.
No, Tommy. Yeah. I was stationed in San Diego in 76 through 80, and it was amazing how everything started there, and it would creep up, making us this way, like the Rocky Horror Show at night, at midnight. They were doing that like in the 70s in San Diego, and a buddy of mine told me about it, and I'm thinking, people, I'll go see it because I've never seen it before. And we're standing in line, and you see everybody dressed up, and I'm going, "Are you serious about this?" He goes, "Yeah." He said, "This is how you do it." And you walk in there, and everybody knew their parts. The people that were dressed as the characters knew their parts by heart. It was pretty weird. Coming from Indiana, that was pretty weird. I'm going like, oh, okay. But, yeah, a lot of stuff would happen in California, and it would filter this way. And it's weird because you try to tell people what's happening, and we just couldn't. The concept of, like, what? Like a drive-through. I would tell them, hey, man, in California, you got these things called drive-throughs, like through McDonald's and whatnot. And it's pretty hard to explain to somebody what a drive-through was. And then finally it came here.
Yeah, Jack in the Box.
Yes.
Jack in the Box drive-through. They were one of the first ones you could get those tacos that they'd make you a taco, then they'd dip it in grease and fry it all up. It was beautiful.
They had a commercial over there, Jed, when I first got there. And it was, I don't know if you might remember, these two little ladies go up to the drive-through and they do whatever it was. At the end, the guy goes, they tried to say the clown. And the guy goes, so should we save the clown? And the little lady looks at him and goes, let him have it. And they blow up the clown.
Yes. Then they had people who would punch the clown.
Yes. Well, in California, they have it here, but in California, they have an organization called the Gray Panthers. What they were is an organization for old senior citizens. And they had that commercial pulled because it said it gave senior citizens a bad reputation of being very violent. And this was like in 77, 76.
You know, you bring up, we obviously have similar paths in that when I went out to school in California basically for 5 years, and there would be times that I would be somewhere and I would be like, gosh, I mean, I can't, it was such a culture shock. And
yes, it was.
I'll tell you one of them that was something that is pretty accepted now. But when I went up to Berkeley, and the first few times I went into San Francisco, and all of the openly gay men and women that were living there was just something you'd come back and you'd talk about and say, hey, man, and it was still kind of not accepted in the Midwest. I mean, that was one of the biggest shocks that I had ever seen.
It's like when you stay there long enough, it's like it doesn't matter. It's you accept it, and you're more open about the mind-wise, and you talk about it. Then you come over here, and like everybody looks at you like you're some kind of freak or whatnot. But over there, it's accepted, so it's part of your the lifestyle,
One of the things also is that when I went there, I just couldn't get over how many people basically just lived on the streets. And that was not I think I could only think of like one around here. There's a lot now. But remember Martin Pignac over here that lived in East Chicago under the bridge, and everybody just kind of let him do it. They had Martin Pignacs all over in every town in California, and they still do.
Yeah, they do. I mean, I remember when I started going there, and I watch, I go, they let all these people around here? They go, yeah, they don't bother anybody, And I'm going like, well, yeah, I figure in California the weather's great, so why not? If you're going to be a freeloader, might as well do it there,
I don't think that's the right word. It's not the right word. You're talking about a homeless person, not a freeloader. All right, man.
Yeah.
All right, Omar. Thanks a lot. Talk to you. As a matter of fact, I don't tell a lot of Berkeley stories because I feel like I was like Janet Weiss, who got caught in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. You ever see that thing? And when I went out to California, I was just like a three-sport athlete, and I just was a normal Midwestern guy. And I went and played baseball for a couple of years at Occidental College, and then this guy told me about this place called Berkeley, and I went up, and I'm like, and I somehow got in, and I somehow got a scholarship out of it, so I was able to go to Berkeley. But the things that you would see, and when I got there, I remember the first day, I didn't have a place to live. And I had gotten in right at the end, and it was free, but they're like, all right, well, you can come here, but you got to find your own place to live. And I'm like, what do you mean? They go, well, we only have dorms for like 4% of the population. And then my buddy was going to school there, and he's like, dude, that's the hardest place in America to find a place to live. And I had a couple weeks. So I basically scrimped and said, whatever. I didn't even really have a place for the longest time up until maybe the second semester. And I remember one guy, after about 2 or 3 weeks of like sleeping on people's couches and stuff, a guy says, I was out on the street and just talking to one of the street people, and he's like, oh man, you got a place where you can always sleep in People's Park. I go, what do you mean People's Park? They had a city block that they took right in the middle of the municipality, and it was called People's Park, and any homeless person could go sleep there and hang out there with their shopping cart all day and not be bothered. And it was a big deal. I mean, a lot of people did it, and I'm like, well, I don't know how my mom and dad would be okay with me sleeping in People's Park, but it was very accepted, and people sleeping, and you go to class in the morning and people would be sleeping, kind of like in a big city now. Any big city, you wake up in the morning, and if I go somewhere, I always get up in the morning and go for a run because I'm so used to getting up. And any big city anymore, as long as it's not like 5 below zero, there's people sleeping in coves and so forth. And that was a trend that was only in California at the time, or at least highlighted there. I don't know how I got off on that. You know what I mean? And I've shared with you guys that I've been off my game for about a week and a half now, and it kind of culminated in last night and just kind of collapsing. And I'm back, though. I'm going to slowly be back. I could feel it. But until then, you guys need to help carry it through. How's that sound? Hey, we're going to talk to Kathy Grimler right after this on the Voice and Face of the Region.
Elections matter, qualifications matter, integrity and honesty matters, and most of all, experience matters. The Honorable Lorenzo Arredondo possesses all of these qualities. Make a wise decision. Vote for Arredondo for clerk on May 8th. Arredondo for clerk. Honest, trustworthy, dependable, and experienced. And there's no substitute for experience.
My name is Lorenzo Arredondo, and I approve this message.
Paid for by the committee to elect Arredondo for clerk.
This is Judy Mervan, daughter of State Senator Frank Mervan, and I'd like to tell you why my father is a strong choice for state senator. He fights for what's right for working families and champions legislation that upholds our democratic values. His strong voice stands up for workers' rights and creates and protects good-paying jobs. His commitment to working people earned him endorsements by many unions. State Senator Frank Mervan fights for the highest quality of education for our children because they deserve the best. He's a strong advocate for our teachers, which has earned him the endorsements of all teachers' associations. He's a strong voice for equality and justice for all our citizens. He fights for families to have the health care coverage they need. My father, Frank Mervan, has a strength of experience and is in touch and involved with all our communities. He is a state senator you have come to know and trust to build a better future together. Please vote for State Senator Frank Mervan, paid for by the Committee to Re-elect Mervan Jr., State Senator.
My name is Ernie Dillon.
My name is Joe.
My name is Bill Emerson Sr.
We are veterans supporting our fellow veteran, Rich Novak, for North Township Board.
Rich is experienced, dedicated, hardworking, and professional.
Remember, vote on Tuesday, May 8th.
Approved and paid for by the Committee to Elect a Vet, Richard J. Novak.
Are you ready to riot? Mayor Thomas M. McDermott Jr., in partnership with Region Racing, powered by Strachan Van Til, is proud to bring back the second annual Region Riot Criterium Bike Race to the city of Hammond on Saturday, May 12th, from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. This cycling race will be held at Wolf Lake Memorial Park in Hammond, and the race will circle around Calumet Avenue, 129th Street, and Sheffield Parkway. Spectators are welcome to watch as cyclists compete on this course. 13 races available. Parking is available at the pavilion. Don't miss the Hammond Region Riot Bike Race on Saturday, May 12th. For more information, see our website at goregionriot.com.
No sweater today, my friends. Just a dress shirt. It's warm out, and don't get used to it. As a matter of fact, Alexis and I had the big discussion. You know, when you've been married a long time and you're like, we bought a new piece of lawn furniture yesterday, and that was like a big deal, and it took forever. And I want to thank Pete Corellis for helping us cart it home. But the big discussion is typically we may plant flowers on Mother's Day, which is coming up. And I don't know if it's going to – one year we planted them in like May 3rd or something, a little before Mother's Day, and they all froze and died. And so is it too – you know, I've got a list of people. We're going into the summer time, and we try to get more guests and so forth. All right, so I've got the list here of, let's see, Paco, the clothes guy, Eddie Melton, Chuck Hughes and Earl Smith, Gabby from P&W, Mark Chase, and Bill Hassey. I want all those people on the show, okay? And then we need to get somebody on to talk, Rich Christakis, to talk about planting, because you'd be surprised how many people talking about this, like, I want to plant my flowers, but the weather, they don't trust the weather. And we're kind of the same way, having had it happen once, planting them too early. But today is certainly not in that vein. It's a high of 80 today, mostly cloudy and breezy. Maybe a late thunderstorm. Tomorrow, showers and a heavier thunderstorm. And then Friday, a high of 68. And then Saturday, a high of 74, sunny to partly cloudy. And the weather is brought to you by our good friends at CertifiedElectrician.com. Check them out if you need electrical work done. All right, let's talk traffic. By the way, there's a couple of new areas where they're down to one lane, and this is just such kind of poor planning. At Main and Indianapolis Boulevard in Cherville, Dyer, Highland, where they all kind of come together there. It is going toward, I guess that's Highland there. East of Indianapolis Boulevard is down to one lane going westbound. So leaving Indianapolis and going by Walgreens there and then going out towards Briar Ridge Country Club, it's down to one lane. And that is, I think that has to do some with that construction that's going on. They're building that big hotel there. And then there's another place going westbound on 45th is down to one lane. And the reason I say that's poor planning is that you're getting so much runoff from Indianapolis Boulevard going through Highland there that they're working on that big bridge. So expect some delays in that entire area. We were coming back last night from Lowe's at like 9 o'clock, and it was traffic filled. There was a lot of traffic, and it was hard to get around on Main Street and on 45th. So just understand that it's not one of those summers where you're going to get in your car and you're just going to be able to zip out there. I tried to do that yesterday and took forever to get out to Avalon Manor for this luncheon that was going on, the Business Hall of Fame, which I'll talk about again. 294 around the city looks good. 80 going east and west looks good. The Bishop Ford up the gut of the Southland is tight, and it is from, say, 130th on up to 87th. It's moving, but I would say it's at about maybe 30, 35 miles an hour through some of that. As you get closer on up to the Jane Byrne, it gets a little tight starting at 35th. The Skyway Toll Road, Borman I-65, US 30, Klein Avenue. Hey, those are all moving along pretty well. What are you doing this Saturday? Are you a runner? And Ryan, this left my screen. There you go. And if you're a runner, you might want to come out to Grimmer Middle School. If you're leaving from like Hammond or Highland or Munster or Cal City, allow extra time even on a Saturday morning going through the Indianapolis Boulevard Gauntlet. But we're going to have a run, and Kathy Grimler is going to tell us all about it. Hey, Kathy, how are you?
Good morning, Mr. Dulo.
Is my dad here?
No, it's a school thing.
What do you mean it's a school thing? You're a teacher?
Yes,
Where are you a teacher at?
at Grimmer Middle School.
Yeah, Grimmer Middle School. How long have you been teaching there?
I am fortunate to have been teaching there for 24 years.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I know.
Really?
I love it.
So
yes.
your name is Kathy Grimler, and you teach at Grimmer?
Yes, I'm Miss G. They call me Miss G. That's good enough for me.
Do people ever, like, mess it up and call you Mrs. Grimmer? Miss Grimmer?
Every once in a while.
Okay. You want to talk about the run, and you don't want me to just, like, screw around, right? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, we could do both.
Okay,
That's
because
pretty much my whole day.
typically teachers, really want to just get to the point. You know what I mean? And let's get to this point because there was a man that was at Grimmer for quite some time by the name of Dan Runyon. Tell us about Dan.
Dan was a science teacher at Grimmer. I coach cross country in the fall and track in the spring, and he was a track coach with us for this would have been his third year. When we come back from Christmas break, we have a running club. If the weather is over 30 degrees, or I'm sorry, over 40 degrees, we'll run outside for January, February. And if it's a little chilly, we run through the building. We have an elementary connected with us, Watson, so we'll run through the hallways. Kids love that after school. So we had a 42-degree day back in February 2nd, and we went for a run with the kids after school. It was Mr. Runyon and I. And we stopped at a park and kind of gathered the kids together. And as we were standing there, Mr. Runyon collapsed. And we had 54 of our students with us that witnessed this event. And things happened really fast. I sent the kids back to the school. Ambulance came. 2 days later, Mr. Runyon passed away with his family in the hospital. So it was quite a shock to our school. We have had a few fundraisers already to help his family out. His wife, Heather, actually works for Purdue. And his son, Cole, and Avery, they're students in the Portage school system. So we really want to help out Dan's family. This is very sudden for the family. And he was a great colleague, great teacher. There's so many former students that have come back and emailed us and sent us messages just about what a great teacher he was, what a fun science teacher he was. He really tried to make science fun. Just a great overall man.
Where's Dan from? Where was Dan from?
Oh gosh, he was by I can't remember. It's Central Indiana. He did go to Purdue, and that's where he went to Purdue Lafayette and met his wife Heather there, and they settled up here in Portage. And
so he was a teacher at Grimmer Middle School now. So he basically, collapsed in front of the students.
Right.
How did they handle this?
They were great. When he collapsed, I got on the ground with him. I kind of forgot the kids were there. I was trying to talk to Mr. Runyon and looking at him, and all of a sudden my eyes kind of went up a little bit, and all I saw was feet. I was like, oh my gosh, all these kids are standing here. There was a 8th grade boy, he's real responsible. I just looked at him. I said, Sergio, take the kids back to school. And he's like a little concerned. I said, it's okay. I'm going to stay here with Mr. Runyon. Just take them back to school. So the 8th graders, because we had 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders with us. They just came together, got the kids to school. Everybody got home fine. The kids have been wonderful. Friday when we got the announcement, it was right after noon. The whole school was just quiet. Our principal came on to let us know that he had passed, and the kids just rallied together. They made signs. The signs are still hanging all over our school. Dan Strong, hashtag Dan Strong. That's kind of become our title for this event. His wife came up with that, his wife Heather. So we're naming the race after him. It's hashtag Dan Strong 5K.
And give us the details. When's it start and all of that?
Okay, this Saturday, the race is actually going to start right at 9 a.m. Our doors are going to open at 8. We do have race day registration available. There's also online registration and through our Grimmer website. There's another website, runsignup.com. You could find the hashtag Dan Strong on there. But yeah, race day registration is welcome as well.
All right, there it is. And that will be at Grimmer Middle School. Tell people where Grimmer is.
Grimmer Middle School is, I'll give you the address, 225 West 77th Avenue. It's Cherville. So it's just east of 41 on 77th Avenue.
Okay, so the doors open at 8 a.m. The race will start at 9. They'll run through that neighborhood in Cherville right behind Grimmer. It's $20 a runner. And they have a nice little, you can just type in Dan Strong into Google, and you can go there and you can sign up, and you can even donate right there to the Runyon family. Kathy, can't be easy for the Grimmer family through all of this. I mean, it still has to be we're still in the same semester in which he passed. And hopefully some people are healing up a little bit.
Yeah, we are, and we're in the middle of our track season too. We actually have a meet tonight. So our returning track members, we're missing him. He really was a great trainer for the kids. Did a lot of drills with the kids, and they're missing that. We're dedicating our season to him. As of now, our boys team is undefeated in our season. We hope to continue that. Our boys have already broken 2 records. So it's been a great season so far. We dedicate it to Mr. Runyon.
All right, there it is. The first ever Dan Strong run, and that'll be a 5K run. And if you just want to walk it, and it might be a nice morning on Saturday morning. We're looking at a high of 74 and kind of sunny on Saturday, so it might be in the upper 50s when this thing goes off. It should be a perfect day to get out and get a nice walk and for a good cause. Kathy, thanks so much, and thanks for our condolences to the whole Grimmer family and to the Runyon family. Hopefully a bunch of people come out and donate to this thing.
Thank you very much, and thanks just for having this forum for the community to promote their events. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks a lot, Kathy. Talk to you.
All right, bye-bye.
643 in the Calumet region. What a story, huh? Wow. Be right back.
On May 8th, vote for Democrat Andrew Silvestrowitz for Lake County Clerk of Circuit Courts. Andrew is a qualified Democrat and has 12 years of experience as a councilman in Maryville at every facet of government. Make your vote count with Andrew Silvestrowitz for Clerk of Circuit Courts. Paid for by Committee to Elect Democrat Andrew Silvestrowitz.
I am Andrew Silvestrowitz, and I approve this message.
State Senator Frank Mervan stands committed to working men and women and is endorsed by Indiana State Teachers Association and American Federation of Teachers, United Steelworkers District 7, Indiana AFL-CIO, IBEW Electrical Workers, Indiana Building Trades Union, Indiana Firefighters, Teamster Local 142, Northwestern Indiana Building and Construction Trades Council, Democratic Precinct Organizations of Hammond, Highland, Munster, Cherville, Dyer. Please vote for State Senator Frank Mervan. Paid for by the Committee to Elect Frank Mervan Jr., State Senator.
Giovanni's in Munster, Northwest Indiana's premier Italian cuisine. Come enjoy our expertly prepared veal, steak, seafood, and other Italian delicacies. Experience over 20 years of entertainment with our piano player Jack every Friday and Saturday evening in the lounge. And join our VIP or e-rewards on your next stop in. Host your special event, shower, or celebration in our back room. Giovanni's is located at 603 Ridge Road in Munster. Call 836-6220 to make a reservation. Check out our menu at giosmunster.com.
Hi, Economics Dr. Jess Ortiz wants your vote. We continue to have more abandoned houses than homeless. This can happen to anyone, including children. It is a waste of resources that lowers property value. I, Ortiz, pledge to resolve this ethical, legal, and economic mandate through improved policy without additional taxes. God willing, leave no homeless behind. Vote.
Paid for by Committee to Elect Dr. Jesus Lewis Ortiz, North Township Advisory Board.
645 in the Calumet region. I'm Jim Diedlow, host of JED in the region. Man, I wish I could go to that run. I'll be at the Hard Hat outing on Saturday morning and then heading over to Purdue Northwest where my wife is giving the commencement speech. And then it is over to the NISA fundraiser. She'll actually give that thing at 11 and 3. And then the NISA fundraiser, you guys can still get tickets for that. That is in the afternoon. It's a derby party, and it's at the Gary Airport, the big B. Coleman hangar. Really a cool. It's got to be it's just maybe the most wide open building in the region. I mean, maybe there's some more warehouses that are wide open like that I don't know about. But it's just when they pull all the planes out of there, it's just huge, and we're going to be able to use that for a big party. There's some tickets left. Steve Shekel, the Munster chief of police, and I have differed on how this thing should be run, but I guess I don't really have any real input on it since I'm just kind of out here from the cheap seats on the whole thing. But I think we cut it off at about 500, and I told him, why 500? It's as big as an airport hangar. And he's like, no, we just want to be able to manage it better. And so it's not that crowded for an airport hangar, and there's a 16-piece band, and it's all for a good cause. And that ultimately we will build a disaster response center right there near B. Coleman Aviation Hangar. Hopefully that's at least the plan. We're doing it a little differently. Instead of just going straight to government to fund the whole thing, we're doing it with some private funding and with some fundraising. And it's also kind of to show a different way of going out about getting a huge project done. Hey, let's take a look, quick traffic look. You still have some tightness at the merge going into the Dan Ryan. I wouldn't go that way right now. I think it's getting worse. 294 around the city is a little bit heavy from Cicero on up to the Stevenson. 80 going east and west looks good. But you're getting your problem is kind of on the southern end of the Dan Ryan. And then once you hit the Dan Ryan from the Skyway, you'll actually run. So either way you go, the Skyway or the Borman, you're going to hit some traffic going at, say, 47th to 33rd, and then picking it up again at 22nd on into Jane Byrne. On the Indiana side, I don't see much. Borman looks good. I-65, US 30, Klein Avenue, they're all moving along pretty darn well. And today we have at 7 o'clock, we've got Coach Larry Moore and Jermaine Boyette out of Hammond High, and then around 7:30 we got Al Hamnick coming in. So you got anything on your mind? 219-845-1100. I'll take your phone calls. This section is brought to you by Rush Radio Surgery. Their dedicated and experienced team mission is to provide the highest quality and most compassionate cancer care. Visit rushradiosurgery.com. And owe the IRS $10,000 or more in business or personal back taxes? Call the Tax Doctor now. Learn how to settle your tax debt for less. 800-542-9112. And I told you guys earlier, and we talked about this, I did go out to the Times, has a big Business Hall of Fame, and it is quite the you get some. I guess it's quite the occasion. Governor Holcomb spoke. Pete Visclosky was there. McDermott was there. All sorts of kind of big wigs in the business communities. But Bill Hassey of Hassey Construction, Jeff Strack and Van Tills, Terry McMahon, the 1956 graduate of Hammond High, has had an accounting firm in Munster since the early 1970s, and he told a little bit of his history, and he was put in there also. And he told the story of a guy who just kind of was just like, didn't do very well at Hammond High and didn't know what he was going to do. And a professor suggested to him, why don't you try accounting? And he said, you wouldn't have thought I was just kind of a drifter dude. And he said he found accounting and just found the order of it just so exacting that he was attracted to it and went into it, and that was it. And Scott Albanese from Albanese Candy, Monosol also got an award. And so they did a great job putting a big party on, basically, for business. Governor Holcomb, though, and Pete Visclosky both talked about the train. And you guys know, we haven't talked about this in a while, but the train has two major elements to it that are huge projects. And one of them is that if you go out to South Bend on the South Shore train, there's parts where you have to, one side has to go and then the other side has to go because it's down to one lane there, basically. And they want to double track the South Shore to make it quicker out to Michigan City and South Bend and just kind of make it more modern. And that's a pretty big deal. And then there's another spur of the South Shore train that they want to take from Hammond all the way down to Dyer along the West Lake. They call it the West Lake Corridor. And, we hadn't heard anything about this in a while. And I started to think about it. I go, now what happens when you don't hear about something for a while? Because I got to believe the supporters of the train don't want to hear it, because there had been some vocal opposition to the train, many of them calling here on the airwaves. You Mad Mac, MX, Chuck Pullen. You got a lot of people that are, it's kind of a group that has centered around being against the train. Their kind of fire just isn't as visible. It's probably still as strong. And someone came up to me, and I wish I knew who it was. I know who it was. And I'm pretty sure it was Paul from Hassey. And he was saying that, I said, well, what do you think about the train? He said, well, I don't know, but my experience is when you don't hear nothing for a while, that's when stuff gets done. And I'm like, man, you're right. We haven't heard that much. Visclosky went in front of the committee in Washington, and all the plans are all drawn. They've done all the a lot of the environmental stuff. They've secured the land. It's kind of getting ready. And for it to happen, the real proponents of the train, I'm guessing, would like it to be quiet, and then just kind of one day you come out and say, oh, we're going to have a big signing for the train, and it's done, and they're going to build it. And that would be, I made the mistake of saying I think the train's a good idea a long time ago, and I still do. I don't want to be the supporter for the train on the radio. What I found is that if I come out and say about a local issue, a contentious local issue, say, hey, I think that I'm for this, then every opposition person calls in and wants to debate me on it, and I'm like, well, I don't really want to debate on it. If they build it, it'd be kind of cool. But so Holcomb brought it up and Visclosky brought it up, which makes me think them bringing it up and the fact that it's gone kind of quiet, that we're getting close to getting this thing done. What do you guys think? What do you think, Mad Mac? We getting close to getting this done?
No chance, bro. Just like you thought Hillary was going to win in a landslide. I can remember.
I never said that.
No,
no, don't you ever do that. I said right going into that, you folks, you better watch out. I think Trump has a really good chance of pulling this election out. So don't make stuff up, even though it fits your narrative. But anyways, go ahead.
I called to tell you about your old hometown of Griffith, that for the first time in many, many years, we have a woman from Griffith. Not that she's a woman, makes no difference. We got a resident of Griffith running for Cal Township Board named Joan McCluskey. So my strategy, which I'm sure the entire world is listening with bated breath. How is he going to vote as a conservative Republican? Well, I'm probably going to pull a Democratic ballot so I can vote for Dowling as sheriff because I don't want to see a counterfeiter named Martinez getting in there. And I want to see a person who lives in Griffith on the Calumet Township Board as opposed to one of the 17 crooks from Gary, because apparently voting for anybody from Gary is detrimental to your financial, moral, and physical health.
All
No
right, so
two
let me
ways
ask you
about
this.
it.
Let me ask you this.
Well,
How
I'll
do you
tell you
feel?
about the
How do
train,
you
though.
feel about going in and to support your cause? You got to tell the whole world that you are pulling a Democratic lever. You know what I mean?
What I mean on the air, or you're
Well,
talking
no, I
about,
mean,
like,
I just don't like. I don't like that you have to declare. I've never liked it. I mean, I voted in a few, like when Kuziak ran, I had never really voted, and then I had to declare Democrat. And then there's, then there's other ones where, I'd like to vote for this guy on the Republican
right?
side.
Yeah, you got to pick. I know.
Yeah, you
People
got to
have an issue
pick.
with
And I'm
that.
like, man, one day that's going to go away. And really what it does is it gives people information about you that you really don't want them to have. So
Well,
I'm going to make
they're
sure.
gonna get the information about you no matter what. Don't kid yourself and think that your vote is somehow private. Because I just was with someone about 5 weeks ago, and I said, "Oh, I voted da 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 da," and they're like, "No, you didn't." I'm like, "Yeah, pretty sure I did." So, "Oh no, I pulled your thing. I saw who you voted for." How the hell did you do that? Oh, we can do that. I go, "Pardon?"
No
I
one
thought it
can
was
tell
supposed to
who
be
you voted for, Mad Mac. I'm sorry. I know you got some good conspiracy theories, but if you go in there and
No,
vote,
Jimmy, they told me virtually exactly who I voted for.
well, that's a federal crime to have that information.
And that doesn't go around in this county. You got to be kidding. But either way, some states do it one way, some do it the other. I got a great idea for you, Jimmy. Though, how about the people who pay for all of this malarkey in politics, called the voters, get to have a chance to vote for it? Like, what did Jimmy? You're Mr. Newsman. You know what happened yesterday in Nashville, Tennessee, one of the highest growth cities in the entire United States. You know what they did yesterday? They came out and voted because they're the ones picking up the tab. They get a say in what they want, and they put up on the ballot yesterday a $5 billion transportation referendum. And guess what happened to it? It got shot down like a kamikaze plane coming in anywhere. It got blown to smithereens.
All right, so let me ask you this:
How far
is it you want to go? All right, I got you. You got your soliloquy there. How far is it you want to go with? Do you want to vote on the stop sign down at the corner of Jefferson and 173rd?
Well, now you're being just, crazy.
Well, I mean,
no,
you elect people to go in, and you elect them to make your decisions for you because not everybody.
No. I don't vote them to make my decisions. I vote them to go down there and do what they're told.
Okay, that's exactly right, and I understand that.
That's
But
right.
the idea of referendums on really big things, I understand that. Okay, but how far does that want to go?
Is a big thing?
The train here, yeah. I mean, we could have done a referendum on it. I would have been
Jimmy,
all right with
it's the
that.
biggest transportation project in the history of the state of Indiana by a factor of 4.
All right, what about referendums in all of these towns every 5 or 6 years? Are you for that to pay for the schools? Is that the new way of doing it?
I don't mind that because
we're in a representative democracy, and you elect people, and if they don't do what you want, you go run against them or you get somebody else. I mean, at some point.
Yeah. How's that worked out for Gary and East Chicago?
Well, then what do you think? Gary and East Chicago will be better run if you put up all of the things that the city council normally votes on. Instead, let's just put them up and have a referendum on all of them. Then why even have elected officials?
Sometimes that's a good question. I mean, hell, you got that one.
So what do you think
individual?
about hey, Holcomb and Viscoski both touted the train. I think something's going on. I think that's going to happen soon.
No chance, bro, because they have no do-re-mi. And their statistics are lies. Do you think they're actually going to be able to shave like an hour off a train ride from Michigan City to Chicago. What are they running? The Star Trek force field?
No, but I'm telling you what, their numbers are probably not as nearly as good as Mad Mac, because Mad Mac knows all, right? You already have the estimates of the time to the city, and you've already got all the numbers.
We did our homework, bro. We didn't
I'll
just
talk to
pull
you.
it.
I got to go. I got to take one more. Bill, you're it. What's up?
Jed from Mad Mac. I've got a reply from a Reginald Van Eason the third. Oh, won't you ever shut up?
That's not very nice.
It was in good humor, of course. To the naysayers, Jed. To the naysayers said men could not fly. The naysayers said we could never put a man on the moon, and it was a Purdue man, Neil Armstrong. And I bet the naysayers said Jim and Alexis Dietlow couldn't buy a radio station.
Well, there were those.
You're in some pretty fast company.
I'm with the Wright brothers.
I mean, go back in time. The automobile, the telegraph, all of those things. They were men of commitment and acumen. That means great mental ability. I won't go back bragging about my Notre Dame education. Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, one of the great stories of all time. Edison was in the middle of trying to create it. A reporter came to him and said, "Mr. Edison, aren't you going to give it up? You've had 5,000 failed experiments." And Edison looked at him and said, "Young man, you don't seem to understand. I haven't failed. I am 5,000 steps closer to success."
Octavie Chanute, remember him?
Who?
Octavie Chanute. He was the guy before the Wright brothers who learned how to fly. It was like in the late 1800s. He was taking gliders off of the Indiana dunes, and he was basically the first guy to really get man into the air.
Isn't there a Chanute Hall at Purdue University?
I don't know if there is. There possibly is. Somebody text me, is there a Chanute Hall? But he was another kind of a visionary. He was actually a little too early. By the time the Wright brothers came around, they finally had engines that could make it go fast enough and so forth.
We can check that out. September 29th, when the Boilermakers open at home in a night game.
All right, man. I'll see you there. Thanks a lot, Bill. 219-845-1100. That's the number here. I'll take your phone calls in just a little bit. But we got a couple guys from Hammond High. The Hammond High Wildcats have come into the studio. That means there's a lot of purple around here. A lot of schools over the years, they kind of change their tint of red, or they change their tint of whatever it might be. That's the same Hammond High purple that I remember as a kid. Be right back on the Voice and Face of the Region.
Hi, it's Mara Candelaria Reardon, your 12th District State Representative. The people you trust most, firefighters, policemen, teachers, and farmers, have all endorsed me to continue doing the people's work because they know that I will make sure their voices are heard at the State House. I humbly ask you to join them and vote Mara Candelaria Reardon for 12th District State Representative. Paid for by citizens for Mara Candelaria Reardon.
This is Judy Mervan, daughter of State Senator Frank Mervan, and I'd like to tell you why my father is a strong choice for state senator. He fights for what's right for working families and champions legislation that upholds our democratic values. His strong voice stands up for workers' rights and creates and protects good-paying jobs. His commitment to working people earned him endorsements by many unions. State Senator Frank Mervan fights for the highest quality of education for our children because they deserve the best. He's a strong advocate for our teachers, which has earned him the endorsements of all teachers associations. He's a strong voice for equality and justice for all our citizens. He fights for families to have the health care coverage they need. My father, Frank Mervan, has a strength of experience and is in touch and involved with all our communities. He is a state senator you have come to know and trust to build a better future together. Please vote for State Senator Frank Mervan, paid for by the Committee to Re-elect Frank Mervan Jr., State Senator.
Jedi's Garden Family Restaurant, located at the corner of Klein and Ridge, is Griffith's locally owned family restaurant with a down-home feel and made-from-scratch favorites you will love. Open daily from 5 a.m. to midnight, Jedi's has you covered with breakfast omelets, salads, stir-fry, seafood, and steak sandwiches. In addition to our award-winning lemon rice soup, 4 additional soups are served daily. Along with our recently expanded spirits menu, Mondays are half-price margaritas and Wednesdays are $1 off domestics. Mention WJOB for 20% off your order. We'll see you at Jedi's at the corner of Klein and Ridge.
You do have a choice for a new beginning. Vote Wally DeRose for Lake County Sheriff. He has an outstanding record as police commander, federal agent, and Army veteran. Integrity, honor, and a lifetime of service in Lake County. Paid for by the committee to elect Wally DeRose.
Men, are you taking Viagra or Cialis for ED? ED should not stand for expensive drugs. If you're taking Viagra, talk with your doctor about sildenafil. Now you could get the same active ingredient in Viagra in generic 20 milligram tablets for less than $2 each, saving over $30 per dose. Available at Vito's Pharmacy. Call us 219-228-7200 or visit us at vitospharmacy.com.
Vito's Pharmacy. Knock, knock, who's there? AM 1230, WJOB in Hammond, Indiana. You know, when I was growing up, I had these pennants on my wall, and I had a lot of Bears stuff, a lot of Cubs stuff. White Sox wasn't allowed, even though I was kind of a White Sox fan. But the Bulls, and I had Purdue pennants, never an IU pennant in our house. Pennants. Some people listening don't even know what those are. Those little triangle things that you put on the wall. And then I had East Chicago Roosevelt Rough Riders, and an East Chicago Washington Senators pennant. And then perhaps my most prized of all was a purple pennant that said the Hammond High Wildcats. I would love to still have that thing. We're going to talk Hammond High Wildcats in just a second here. Hey, let's take a look at what's going on in traffic. 294 around the city from Cicero up until the Stevenson, moving along pretty well. 80 going east and west looks pretty good. The Bishop Ford up the gut of the Southland is pretty bad, starting at about, I don't know, 115th, maybe 120th. Through the merge, opens up a little bit on the Dan Ryan, but it's kind of heavy up and down that Dan Ryan. So no matter if you take the Skyway and the toll road, which are both moving along pretty well, or the Borman, I-65, US 30 are all moving along well. So you've got two main problems. 294 is tight from Cicero up until to Stevenson. So stop and go. And then basically coming up the Bishop Ford and the Dan Ryan. And traffic brought to you by our good friends at Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service from Torrance Avenue. What do you have on the weather side? It's going to be another warm day. It's warm right now here at the Strachan Van Til Studios. It's 66 degrees here. It's going up to 80, 81. And then local 599 across the city is right by Hammond High. It is 66 degrees. Local 697 of the electricians in Maryville, where a certified electrician is, that is 67 degrees right now. And don't forget that on Saturday we have a whole bunch of stuff going on, including the Dan Runyon run. When this Facebook Live and Twitter video and YouTube videos end, you can go back and get some of the details from Kathy Grimler. And the Dan Strong run will be $20, and it starts at 9 o'clock from Grimmer Middle School, and it will benefit Dan Runyon's family. He passed away suddenly at school on a run, and a very sad situation. Hey, let's go to talk about another school, and it's right around the corner from where we're sitting here in the city of Hammond, and that is Hammond High. And what's your name, sir?
Larry Moore Jr.
Larry Moore Jr. is, you guys will recognize him as a coach, basketball coach there. And your name, sir?
Jermaine Boyette.
Jermaine Boyette. And Jermaine came in with some amazing news that I did not know. Erskine Ferris. That is a name that will always bring a smile on my face. And every time I see your dad, is the same thing, man. It's always a smile. Erskine Ferris was at one time, somebody told me he was the best middle school basketball player in the history of Hammond. Do you think that's possible?
I don't think that's possible.
Because you came along, right?
Because I came along, yeah. I won't challenge him on baseball, though. I won't challenge him on baseball.
He went to Eggers, and I went to a few of the games, and then I played on a few teams with your dad, the small fry in Hammond, and we traveled all around. And he's a very good basketball player, but I remember when he just knew how to run a basketball. And then he never really grew, so that didn't really he didn't get that kind of dominance. But he could dominate an 8th grade basketball game like I've never seen anybody in Hammond. Now, I didn't see you play in 8th grade or some of the other guys coming up.
He never told me anything about basketball, but I knew he was a great baseball player.
Yeah, good baseball player too, yeah.
I knew he was a great baseball player. He had went to school. He went to school for it, so I knew baseball was something that he was going to instill into me at some point.
Yeah.
Which he did. But I took baseball serious, so I kind of got away from baseball and went strictly to basketball. So everybody always give him great knowledge about his
baseball prowess, and he likes to hear it.
Oh, he loves
to hear it, man.
No,
Hey, tell me more. Exactly right. And he had a buddy. I don't know if you know who this guy is. First of all, the Reverend. What's the case? Reverend. Geez, I know him. I see him. I talked to him on Facebook. His dad was a Reverend there in East Hammond, and Vincent
Burns.
Vincent Burns.
That's my grandfather.
That's your grandfather?
Yeah, my mother is a Burns. That's
All
my
right.
grandfather. Reverend Burns is my grandfather.
All right, so Reverend Burns, the guy my age, Vincent Burns.
Vincent Burns, that's my uncle.
That's your uncle?
Yes, sir.
Is he still living over here?
He's still in Hammond.
Really?
Yes.
He's not a preacher, is he?
No, he's not. We always thought he would be, but he
Yeah,
didn't do
he
it.
would. Yeah, he'd lead the prayer and stuff like that.
Yes,
and
that's my mom's brother.
Really, gosh. All right, now I'm really freaked out. All right, one other name then. Gerald Wilhite. Anybody remember him? I think he left Hammond at some point, but he was also on the teams with us. But anyways, that's not where we're here to reminisce. Vincent, if you're out there, we stop over here one of these days. I haven't seen him in a long time. Hey, how long you been coaching at Hammond High now?
I've been at Hammond High 13 years. 6 years is going into my 7th year as head coach.
And what year did you graduate from there?
I actually graduated from 1995 from St. Francis de Sales.
Oh, you went to SFDS.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
I did not know that. Is that still open?
It is still open.
It's just kind of hanging on.
It is hanging on.
It
by
is
a
really
thread. I'm glad it's still open, but it's just hanging on right now.
I had a guy come in here that I had worked with in Chicago for a long time, and one of the things they're trying to do to get it so that the kids can pay for their tuition is they take them one day a week and they put them to work in a company.
Okay.
And then they rotate a kid every day. The company will get a different 5 kids.
Okay.
You got Monday, you get Tuesday, you get Wednesday, and it'll be like a full-time job. And they do it throughout the semester, and they can almost pay for the whole tuition by doing that.
Okay.
But you got to get innovative at St. Francis de Sales because that's in a tough spot
Yeah,
there.
it's definitely different from when I was there. The building had about 1,100 kids in there, and I know it's way down now over the past 10, 15 years.
The athletics was really strong. I remember going to Bishop Knoll St. Francis de Sales football game maybe in the 90s or whatever, just as a spectator.
Right.
Huge crowds, big deal, and not anymore. Obviously, they don't even have football anymore.
No,
do they?
they've been done with football for about 3 or 4 years
Yeah.
now.
Coach Larry Moore Jr. is the head basketball coach. So you've been over there for 13 years. How long have you been the head basketball coach?
Going into my 7th season.
7th season.
Yes.
You guys had a pretty good year this year, huh?
We did. We went 19-6, won conference, won sectionals for the first time in 13 years. So that was really big for the kids, for the program, for the community. We've been pretty competitive the last several years. But we finally got over that hump, so I was really excited about it, and we want to continue to build on what we built this season with a 19-6 record.
What did you guys do this year that made you so successful?
Well, I just think the fact that our kids have been so close, they really worked in the off season, and after we lost a year before to Griffith, the mindset was for us to get over that hump, and they knew that we had to put in the work in the weight room and get up extra shots and running and just becoming a unit. And that was the focus after we lost the year before against Griffith that we needed to get over that hump and become better. Griffith had kind of set the standard to where we needed to be, and that was our focus to get over that hump.
You know, that's a great rivalry that we're going to miss this year.
No question.
No question about it. How do you feel about not playing Griffith and, just the decision that has been made?
Well, the decision was kind of out of our hands, I think, as coaches. But our kids, when we found out we wasn't playing them, they were kind of disappointed because the rivalry was there. We were actually looking forward if we had an opportunity to play them in sectionals. Good competitive game that it had been, over the last few years. But again, we're still in the same sectional, so it's a possibility that we can meet them in sectional time. So if it happened, it'll just bring the rivalry back.
How many guys are you graduating this year?
I graduated 9 seniors.
9 seniors. Okay.
Yes.
Were there any underclassmen starting for you?
Yes, we actually have 3.
3. Okay, so you'll return 3 guys. Who are you returning?
Reggie Abrams, Amari Young, and Jamar Styles.
Okay, and they all had significant playing time?
Yes. So we're looking forward. Although we lost quite a few seniors, we do have a foundation to start with. Good guard play. Those guys contributed in a lot of areas of scoring, offensively and defensively. So the cupboard is not bare at all.
Jermaine, what do you do for the team?
I'm an assistant coach. I've been an assistant coach for 4 years now.
And do you teach over there, or are you?
No, I'm actually a suspension expulsion interventionist at Hammond High School.
Oh, okay, so you're there, and you're in the building all day?
I'm in the building all day working with kids.
Coach, are you in the building all day?
I am in the building.
That makes a big difference, doesn't it?
No question. My freshman coach is also in the building, Coach Jackson, and then Coach Mitch actually works outside of the building. But having us in the building is very important. We're there with them throughout the day. Able to monitor them behaviorally, academically, and, if they need us, they're able to stop in our rooms or in this office, and we're available.
All right, let's try to guess let's think about the portion of this listening audience right now that went to Hammond High, okay, over the many years. I went to the Business Hall of Fame yesterday. 1956 graduate of Hammond High, Terry McMahon, inducted into the Hall of Fame. I went over on Friday to Purdue Northwest, and they put in a brand new golf facility, and that was Barb and Bernie Fisher, along with their brother Terry Fisher. They were putting in a facility paid for by the Mike Laliff estate. Mike Laliff was a teacher at Kenwood and a Hammond High grad of 1941. And the Fishers, Terry Fisher was Hammond High's quarterback in the mid-60s. And so I asked Coach Moore and Jermaine Boyette to come in because they're looking for a very simple piece of equipment. And I'm like, there are so many people, let's just be frank, that have gone out of Hammond High and have made a ton of money. And that's just how it is. I mean, one of them is kind of made the link here and alerted me to this. And that's, I don't know about a ton of money, but I know he went to Hammond High, and he's done well with Corellis Roofing. And Pete's going to help him out here also. But, Coach, you want to buy a specific piece of equipment. Tell us about it.
We're looking to get it's called the Dr. Dish or the Shoot Away. And this machine here, it'll allow our student athletes to get up at least 1,500 to 1,800 shots in an hour. It's a shooting machine that you can set it up at different angles. You can do different drills. And what it is, this machine, most of the schools that we compete against have had these machines for 10-plus years. And so we're trying to get our first one to just give our kids to be able to take them to the next level, get those reps. Shooting is about repetition. And, there's only so many shots that you can get up if a coach is rebounding. We have one gym, so we do share that gym time with the girls. So our gym time is limited, but by us getting that shooting machine will definitely enhance our skill set. Again, most schools have 2 to 3 of them. We're trying to get our first one, and we're just trying to compete and take our kids to that next level. And this shooting machine, I believe, will help us get that to that next level.
All right. Around how much is a shooting machine?
They vary on the low end. They vary from 5,000 up to 8,000. They have different levels of the shooting machine.
So your ultimate dream is the $8,000 machine, right?
That would be the ultimate dream because that allows us to track their shooting, their percentage. You can hook it up to your phone as an app, and we're able to track different shooting drills that they do. And just, again, giving our kids those reps. A lot of the schools that we play against, they can shoot the ball here in Indiana. And we're okay, but we need to raise our level. If we want to raise our level after winning sectionals and as we went against a tough Culver team that was very young and they won state, we have to raise our level. And right now, me and Coach Boyette are really on a big push on a fundraising campaign and just try to get our kids that extra edge that I think they need for us to get over the hump on that next level.
So, are you going to have are you going to Hammond businesses, or is this kind of a first step? I know you went and saw Pete, and he'll do his part. What's the plan to raise this money?
So we're going to reach out to Hammond businesses. We have a few things in place. We're definitely going to do a summer camp this summer where and we're actually going to hold a free summer camp where we partner up with Grandma Lotus daycare in Hammond where we do the free camp. And with this here, as far as giving back to the community, and that'll put us in a position to have access to more people in the community to let them know what we're doing as a program. We are planning an alumni social next fall to get people back. And this will be on the football, basketball side, but we want to get the alumni back. Hammer High has a strong, successful alumni base. And not only in the fundraising, we want to get them back in the building so they can see the good things that's going on in Hammer High, academically and athletically. So we want to continue to reach out to them, put things in place for them to come back and see what's going on in Hammer High.
When Krause mentioned this to me, and then I talked to Coach Moore, and I'm like, "Are you kidding? You know how many?" Like I went to that thing last night, and there had to be the Business Hall of Fame. There had to be there was a banker that was a Hammond High graduate that is the head of a bank, and I'm like, there's no way that Hammond High's basketball team can't raise $5 or $8 grand to buy one of these. So if somebody who says, "Hey, you know what? I'll throw a couple bones toward the shoot away machine for my alma mater," how do they do that? How do they get a hold of you? How do they get it done?
So they would reach us at 219-933-2442, extension 1570, and they would reach out to the athletic director, Larry Moore Sr.
All right, are you sure? From the architect? Yeah, Hammond High graduate just gave you $500.
Oh wow.
Tom Kuhn Architect. He's been a big supporter of Hammond. Lives the Kuhn family is his dad was kind of a raucous old man, but Tom's pretty sedate young guy, and he's an architect here, and he just threw you 500 bones.
I do want to say this. Hammer High always been blue collar. We get it done no matter what. And I do want to give shout outs to a lot of these people who it's not about athletics, but other people did certain things that need to be recognized coming out of Hammond High School. I graduated in 98.
It's been that long? I remember watching you. You know what? You're aging well.
I graduated in 98, so Hammer High always have a part. Will always be a part of me, no matter where I go, no matter if I'm dead or gone. So I'm really bleed purple. I went to school at Weber State, Wildcats.
So you went from Wildcats to Wildcats. Hold on the Weber State story. We got to talk to John. John, what's going on the roadway there?
Oh, hey, good morning. Indianapolis Boulevard, if you're trying to go eastbound on 8094, the semi just slipped sideways right over the ramp, so nobody's getting by.
All right, eastbound, so he's going towards Porter County on the Borman, right down a couple blocks from where we're sitting right here. And is it, all right, so when it's going eastbound, is it before Indianapolis or after it?
He's almost right over it, like right on the ramp, right over the top, sideways, and the cars are trying to figure out how to turn around and get back down the ramp.
Okay, so there's a lot of rampage going on there. So you go over there and you get way over to the right, and then you can go towards Cabela's, or you can swirl around and come towards us. Where on that ramp? Where on that ramp is this guy turned over?
like right over Indianapolis Boulevard. Hoosier helper just pulled up.
Okay, and
to
so
try to help them
so nobody's getting by on the ramp or on the expressway itself?
on the ramp.
Okay, so all right, so you can't get off right there, and people are trying to back up and get back on the expressway, which is a recipe for disaster.
Well, they're trying to back up to get back on the Indianapolis Boulevard and then figure out what they're going to do.
Okay. All right, hey, thanks so much for calling that in, man. Maybe we'll get a
Oh.
picture on that. We appreciate it.
Okay, no problem. All
Talk
right,
to
see
you.
around.
Thanks. Anybody in that area, give us a picture at 219-845-1100, 219-845-1100. Right now we've got Jermaine Boyette and Coach Larry Moore Jr. from Hammond High. They're trying to buy a shoot-away. These are pretty standard issue in many of the high schools around. Hammond High is trying to get theirs, and this is how they got to pay for it. Anybody that went to Hammond High or you know anybody that went to Hammond High, all you got to do is call them at 219-933-2442, extension 1570. We'll put that up on the Facebook video when this is done. If you're looking for that phone number, all you got to do is go to WJOB's Facebook page, and you'll be able to find it. All right, so, Jermaine, you left in 98. You went and played basketball out at Weber
State University, yes.
Why'd you come back?
Oh, I got to come back to my my neighborhood, my community. I just want to give back to the kids. I did play a little bit overseas basketball for 10 or 12 years.
A little bit for 10 or 12 years? It sounds like a career.
I could have stayed. I could have stayed a little longer, but I felt it was time to come back and give back to the kids while I'm young.
Can you still hoop or not?
Oh, I play with the kids all the time. Well, shoot with the kids all the time.
Do you run up and down with them?
Oh, no. Those days are over for me.
Really?
Those days are over.
Man, you know, my dad's 78. He plays 3 nights a week. Runs the floor. I don't want to hear it.
Well, I would say this. Half court, I give you the business half court. But if you want to go full court with these young kids that we got in the building, especially at Hammer High, it's they hungry. They want the success. I got to make sure myself, not only myself, but Mitch Daniels, that we go out there and give them every bit of our knowledge, what we know, to give back to them. So it's amazing working with them, but they do challenge us at times, myself and Coach Moore Jr.
Let me ask you this. One of the things at Hammond High Schools, and I've talked to a number of the kids, I'm just like the radio guy. I could talk to whoever, I get the feeling sometimes that they feel like Hammond High is not respected as it should be in the Calumet region.
I can elaborate on that. I don't know what it is, but our kids work hard. We teach the right thing, and a lot of times we don't get the recognition that our kids deserve. But on the flip end, that gives us that edge. That gives us that chip to play with, that we're not respected. This season, people in the media, as well as people near to us, they didn't think we would win more than 3 or 4 games. After, we lost some really good players in Caleb Coleman and Dwayne McClendon and Jalen Slacker, all playing college. And when they left, they didn't think we would win 3 or 4 games. And as we started to win, and after the Maryville game, we were ranked the entire season in the Hammond Times as well as the Post. And then we started getting votes about January in the state. So for us to go 19-6 and no one picked us to even win our conference and then to win sectionals was very big for us. Now going into the season, we knew we had something special. We were just hoping that it would come together. But for some reason, we're not respected. I don't know what it is. We teach the game the right way. We have a lot of knowledge. Both of us played college basketball. Coach Mitch has been with us for a long time now. We teach the game the right way. And like I tell my kids, we can't worry about what other people say. You have to worry about what's in the locker room. And that's what this group did. They didn't worry about outside negative talk or what have you. They knew they were going to work hard and be the toughest team every night. And that's what got us our sectional. And I'm actually okay with not getting the respect, because now the expectation in the building is to win. And we have to win sectionals. That's the expectation now for our students. And that next level, we know we have some work to do. We know that regional is going to be tough. We haven't won a regional since 1954, and there have been great teams at Hammond High.
Hold on a second. Hammond High hasn't won all through the McClendon and all through the Valavicius and
Banks,
Todd Franks.
Yes.
And Even you?
The funny part about it is 96, 97, and 98, I won sectionals.
Yeah.
96, 97, 98, I've been to the regional finals. 96, 97, 98, I lost. I lost to Lou Wallace. We lost to West Side. And my last year, we lost to Crown Point in 98.
Who was on your teams?
Keith Herron.
Keith Herron, yes.
Keith Herron. Baptiste Haywood. We also had Bob Delano.
The big goof in the middle.
Big Bob.
Big goof in the middle. So
Big Bob is our man.
Big Bob, man. Yeah, I know Big Bob. Yeah.
You know, we was known in the 90s, one of the teams that you have to respect.
And you guys never won a regional? Gosh, I want to.
It's 54, and I know when my dad, I believe in 73, 74, they lost in regionals, I think at Westside, and at that point they were #1 in the state. So
I was going to say your dad's team.
Yeah, that was with Valavicious, Brian Banks. So
oh my God, that was a big deal when they would be on Channel 50. It was like and you know, it was a celebration.
Right. So we finally got over that sectional hump. That took some time to get back there, but we know that it's bigger, and that to win a regional would mean so much to our community because so many guys and so many great teams have tried to get over that hump. So we know, I know the history. He knows the history, and we know that it's been since 1954, and there have been some great basketball players through the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, Boyette teams in the 90s. So we got something that we want to get for the building, for the community, because it would mean so much for us to win that regional. So a lot of guys have come close and have fell short. So that's what we're working towards. We're trying to take this program to a whole nother level and just get that community. The community was happy when we won sectionals. It made people feel good, and so we want to keep that going.
He is Coach Larry Moore Jr. and Jermaine Boyette. Thanks for coming in, guys. Thanks to Pete Corrales for alerting me to this situation. Thanks to Tom Kuhn, the local architect and a local Hammond guy. He bumped them $500, so they're a little bit closer. Corrales bumped them. They want to hit it up to about $8,000. All you got to do is call them over at Hammond High. And one of you guys that went to Hammond High that's loaded, maybe just pick up the rest of this. How's that sound? All right, guys. Thanks for coming in. Anything else you guys want to tell people?
That's it. Thanks for having us. And, again, we're just working, and we're, like you said, Coach Boyette put it, we're trying to put these kids and put them in a situation to be the most successful they can be on and off the court. That's our big thing, getting them in school. We have 4 guys. All our guys are going off to college. Some are playing ball, but we have 4 that are going to play college ball. Last year we had 2. So, even with the limited resources, we're still getting kids in school, and that's what it's about.
We didn't talk about one thing. How excited are people for the new building?
That is an understatement about being excited. We can remove the athletic aspect. Academically, our science labs will be top level. Technology will be at the top level. There's so many things, and we have some talented kids in our building. And so I'm just excited for them to finally get the resources they need to raise their academics to another level. So the community is very happy about it. And, the teachers in the building, administration, it's going to be a good thing for us to finally have that building where we can be competitive academically and athletically.
All right.
Make no mistakes about it. It's still Hammond High. Just because you tear down one brick, you can put up a new one, and as long as you're still in that location, it's still Hammond High.
The region doesn't have that kind of tradition, my friend. You rip down East Chicago Roosevelt and you put a high school right there. They don't want any mention of that thing.
Oh.
Yeah, this is still going to be Hammond High, and
It's
everybody's no new name, no. Yeah,
it's still Hammond High.
Still Hammond High.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When they knocked down
It's
Roosevelt, I was like, why did they have to forget about the history of Roosevelt and make a new one? Well, that was to keep all the Washington people happy, all the people from the harbor.
Gotcha.
We're not going to have that at Hammond High.
No, it's still going to be Hammond.
I'm glad you said that. You brought that up, man. People got to remember, it'll be a new building, but it's still the same place.
It's still Hammond to me.
Jermaine Boyette, Coach Larry Moore, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
On May 8th, vote for Democrat Andrew Silvestrowitz for Lake County Clerk of Circuit Courts. Andrew is a qualified Democrat and has 12 years of experience as a councilman in Maryville at every facet of government. Make your vote count with Andrew Silvestrowitz for Clerk of Circuit Courts. Paid for by Committee to Elect Democrat Andrew Silvestrowitz.
I am Andrew Silvestrowitz, and I approve this message.
John Salzader, candidate for North Township Advisory Board. I am fully qualified, experienced, and will bring a new face and new vision to your township government. Elect John Salzader, Salzeider, on May 8th, Democrat.
Approved and paid for by the committee to elect John Salzider.
For a fast and friendly car wash, go to Easy Clean Car Wash. Easy Clean is happy to announce their new location's grand opening at 1637 45th Street in Griffith. Open 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. Or stop by one of our 3 other locations in Highland, Cherville, and Lansing. Free vacuuming, carpet shampooer, air freshener, and towel with every wash. And it's fast, easy, convenient, safe, and gentle. Go to myeasyclean.com for more information.
I'm Peter Kadick for North Township Board. Vote for strong experience. Endorsed by Mayor McDermott, the Northwest Indiana Building Trades Council and unions, and numerous precinct organizations. The best is yet to come. Paid for by Kadick for North Township Board Committee.
Loyalty, hard work, self-reliance, genuineness, and gratitude. These values make us who we are. They're here in Indiana, and they're here in Indiana's grocery store, Strachan Van Til. We're proud to serve the people who have put us at the heart of their neighborhoods. We're dedicated to the Indiana values we share and to providing an experience that will make you dedicated to us. Strachan Van Til is Indiana's grocery store, and we're Indiana made.
Hey guys, 294 around the city looks pretty good up until Cicero, and then after Cicero, you got some stop and go going there, and so going to O'Hare is not just you can see it on the map here if you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. It's not easy. 80 going east and west of Joliet is easy, but coming up to Bishop Ford, it's going along swimmingly till the backside of the Steel Bridge, and then you've got a long stretch from basically the golf course there all the way on up to say where the Skyway hits it, and then it opens up a little bit. So I would watch the Bishop Ford right now. If you don't want to pay the money, you could still get through, but you will have a little extra time to listen to my grovelly voice. Skyway moving well. Toll Road looks good. Now the Borman we have on the computer is saying it's still moving well. The problem is if you the ramps there's a semi on its side. Do you guys check the text line? Do we get a picture of that? There it is. It is, yeah, I don't have a picture yet. So if anybody's over there, it's on the top of Indianapolis Boulevard on the Borman going over the boulevard. Evidently a semi either on its side or jackknifed on the ramps there, and people are backing up to get back on to Indianapolis Boulevard. So hopefully the cops and everybody are out there and they're directing traffic around. Traffic brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service. And they're right there on Torrance Avenue in Lansing, right off of the Borman. And in terms of what's going on in the weather, not a bad morning right now. It's a little bit cloudy. And it's 66 degrees here at the Strachan Van Til Studios, going up to a high of 80. Tomorrow, high of 74, showers and a heavier thunderstorm. And then Friday, a high of 68. It gets a little bit cooler, but you get some decent sun on Friday and Saturday and Sunday. Clouds and sun on all 3 of those days. Maybe a thunderstorm late today, but mostly tomorrow is your thunderstorms. And weather brought to you by our good friends at Laborers Local 41, of which I am a proud alum. Somebody texted in and wants that number again to give those guys some money to buy the shoot away. It's 933. Just call Ham and High and go to the athletic department. It's 933-2442, extension 1570. And let's see if they're able to get that done. I hope so. I mean, you go to some of these suburban schools and you see these shoot-aways all over the place. And it really makes a difference when you can shoot and it comes right back to you, and you don't have to have somebody standing there trying to rebound it for you. And speaking of rebounds, he was once the lead rebounder for the Griffith Panthers, both his junior and senior year. And rumor has it that at one time he dunked the ball at the Hammond Civic Center. Al Hamnick, how you doing?
Your nose is going to grow, my friend. No, I was never the leading rebounder, but I did dunk at Hammond High in the sectional.
That's the one I don't believe.
During the warm-ups.
When the reason you're telling that is that because back then it was a technical foul to dunk during warm-ups.
I played so long ago, it was 8-foot rims. Might have been 7 feet, and they raised them to 8.
All right, raise your hand if you think Al's telling a tall tale dunking at Hammond Civic Center.
See, just one, that's all.
Just one hand.
If you're 50 people in the studio, only one.
Just me, Al Hammock, in here. So Hammond High had a pretty good team this year.
That was a nice interview. I was talking to Larry and Jermaine out in the hall, and I gave them Kerry Pinkowski's 2 numbers from work and home because Kerry loves the region, and being a very influential Hammond High grad, running the Chicago Marathon and several other things for the Bank of Chicago. I said contact him, and I also mentioned Roland Parrish, who owns hundreds of McDonald's in the Texas area, I believe. And I didn't know this, but Roland came up here, I guess, a while back for some Hammond function, and according to Larry, donated $1,500 to every athletic program at Hammond High School.
Oh, really?
For equipment, jerseys, whatever. So, you'd be a little hesitant to hit him again, but he's the type of guy that would write a check right on the spot. And I know Kerry will help them out. So, and they told me about the $5 you chipped in, which I thought was really big-hearted of you. Did you ask for change? Was that right? You gave him a 10 and you asked for 5?
I said, can I get that 5 back?
Okay,
no, stop,
right.
Will you?
Right.
The, what kind of, I guess a little bit bothers me about this, Al, is you just mentioned 3 out of hundreds, if not thousands, of really successful Hammond High people. I went to that Business Hall of Fame, and Terry McMahon, 1956, Hammond High graduate. And there was a ton of Hammond High graduates there. I think they just need to know that Coach Moore wants to buy a shoot away, and he needs to raise $8,000. Tom Kuhn, the architect, all right, I'm in for 5. I mean, this could be done by the end of the day if the right people understand. So if you're in the Hammond High community, just or somebody in it, just give them a call and say, hey, call over to the athletic department. Even if it's $100 or something, that stuff adds up real quickly. They get this thing bought. This is a great basketball program with a great tradition, and you heard them. They have not won a regional since 1954. Doesn't that surprise you?
Well, they were always at the Gary Westside Regional for years.
Boyette said they lost in the regional final 3 years in a row.
Yeah, with Valavicius and a couple of
No, that was Moore's dad. Boyette,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, Boyette was
Rich Valavicius, Larry Moore.
Yeah, back then. But Boyette was in the 90s, and he had Batts and Delano, and they went. I remember, I'm like, I can't believe it. Those guys were really good in the late 90s.
Great teams.
They had some good rivalries with Jack Gaber and the Bishop Knoll Warriors. That was some good basketball back then.
In fact, when Dick Barr passed away months ago, I did this story on his coaching at Hammond, and Larry Moore sent us a photo to run with the story, and it was him and Dick Barr on a timeout standing on the sideline. And here's this svelte-looking young Larry Moore with these thick black rim glasses. I mean, he looked like he stumbled right out of a library somewhere, after doing his thesis or term paper. These were the most hideous glasses, but he wore these, when he played. And I saw him in the sectional a couple of times and teased him about it. He thought it was really funny. But people kept that photo because they see Larry now, and then back then, when he was averaging, 20, 24, 25 points a game.
You're talking about Larry Moore Sr.
Larry Moore Sr.
Yeah.
Way back, played for Dick Barr. But these glasses had the thickest, blackest rims. They looked like they might have weighed 5 pounds by the time he put them on.
I remember he was kind of known for
and they
that.
weren't goggles. I think they were actual glasses.
My cousin Dwayne, the former mayor, used to have a pair of very similar glasses. And when you looked at them, they didn't have the technology down like they do now, in that you looked at the glasses and then it enlarged the eyes inside. You know, it was like a convex. Here we are making fun of a guy's disability, Al.
It's not a disability. I mean,
it's a disability.
It helped him find the rim, I'll tell you, when he shot.
I have just been saying so many things that I shouldn't be saying lately. A 744 in the Calumet region. Al Hamnick is here. You guys want to talk to him? 219-845-1100. He also mentioned something else. They're getting a brand new building over there. Outside of the athletics, brand new gymnasium, everything, all the athletic fields and stuff. And they're getting brand new academics, computer labs and science labs and all that stuff. Can that change the perception of Hammond High? I mean, we talked about it and more, and I think you and I have even talked about it. It just doesn't get the respect. Hammond High does not get the respect that perhaps they should.
You should have the mayor on one time because I thought there was talk about them moving out by Wolf Lake.
There were at one
moving
point.
The whole school and kind of collaborating with Clark, forming one school. That to me made a lot of sense. Sometimes a new building really sharpens the enthusiasm of the students. I mean, something to brag about, show off, to their friends. That's one of the problems in Gary. The maintenance in the Gary high schools is so bad. The parking lots are chewed up. The buildings need paint. The flowers and bushes are all dead. How can a kid be excited to go to school when they have to come in this, dismal looking atmosphere or environment every day? Hammond is like the Civic Center. It's been a historical structure as far as Northwest Indiana buildings. But it really needs to be dressed up. And I don't know if there's enough money in the city budget to really make it look as attractive as it should be given its history. Okay, you're going to do stuff internally, but when you drive by it, it's still a very depressing building.
He's Al Hamnick, and he'll just say it how it is. Al, I talked yesterday to Chuck Hughes, and he and Earl Smith want to come on, and they want to talk about the movement or slow, plodding, snail-paced movement towards a Gary Sports Hall of Fame. Where is that at?
Well, we've got the location. It's the adjacent now to Railcat Stadium.
They're doing some big construction on the old Bennigan's, and they're going to open it up as another food establishment.
And that food establishment is going to have like a separate room where they have, they can rent for parties, banquets, whatever.
I think that's where they're looking. That's going to be kind
of
the
Diamond Club, and that's what we're taking over as far as the Gary Sports Hall of Fame. It'll be open year round, not just during the baseball season. I didn't realize this, but we were talking about, security, people that work there taking the tickets, whatever. And Earlene Rogers, I believe, former state representative who's retired now, Earl's sister, said that ARP has a deal where you can hire their people. It's like they pay them $50 a day, a 6-7 hour shift. They'll come out and they'll work in those positions. So you don't have to hire somebody full time with benefits or whatever. They'll send out 2 or 3 people, seniors in good health, and then they'll man those positions, and they pay them like $50 a day. And they do this at malls, businesses that need somebody just to be on the premises for one reason or the other. I mean, they're not going to carry a gun or anything, but they'll be there to take tickets, make sure everything's orderly, maybe lead a tour or whatever. That's a great idea. So that's a money saver right there.
I just hope it gets done, because what happens is this memorabilia gets lost, the people that have the knowledge die, and the momentum for a project like that, and then that history is lost. And I'm just afraid that there's going to be a lot of lost Gary history across all of the sports, all of the state championships. And I just hope you guys are able to get that done.
Well, it's about a year and a half away from actually becoming an item, that's operational. We have to round up all the necessary materials, memorabilia, awards, stuff like that. A lot of schools just pitch that stuff when they close or years after, the event.
I mean, it's not like you have storage rooms. Every room in a high school is like, man, we need this space. Get rid of this stuff.
You've been to Gary Roosevelt.
Oh, yeah. Not in a long time.
You walk in, and their trophy case is like half a hallway, and they've got all kinds of stuff. A lot of it's track, football, and some basketball, during the Glenn Robinson era. But they've got a ton of stuff. Lou Wallace is closed now. That might have all been thrown away. Earl Smith said he toured it about a year ago after they closed, and he wanted to take some of the books out of the library and have them sent to other schools in Gary, because this library was sitting there deserted, full of books, and he was told he couldn't because of the mold. In fact, to tour the school, he had to wear a mask. He had to get permission from the city, and he wore a mask because of the mold and the asbestos. So they said, well, we'll probably have to burn the books because they're shot. And this thing was closed for like a couple of years. Nobody ever took care of it. The mold buildup, whatever. So that's the problem we're going to have with a lot of these schools. Wirt, I don't know if Wirt still has memorabilia. Horace Mann probably doesn't. West Side has some stuff. They've got some nice halls, a Hall of Fame when you walk in. It's up on the wall, mounted photos, jerseys. So it's going to be a battle for us. And then, we'll have a call out to anybody that went to school in Gary that's got stuff. We can get news clippings from the media, because we've all written, the Post-Tribune, the Times, we've all written about these guys. So it's going to be a slow process. But I would say within no later than 2 years, that facility will be open to the public.
Al Hamnick's in the house. Al, how big is it that IU got Romeo Langford?
Can't you see all the bruises I have?
You want to? If we don't have to tell the story, but if you want to, you can.
That may be my most embarrassing Twitter moment. Was that you sent it from JOB? Because I got a
Ryan. Ryan was.
Thanks, Ryan.
I don't touch the Twitter. What did he do? Correct you or what? What happened?
He just embarrassed me.
Oh, he did? Sorry. No, nobody. Well, it must have been Sam then.
I thought I had a news source because originally when he narrowed it to the three schools, Indiana, Vanderbilt, and Michigan, I think it was, I said my gut feeling, this is weeks ago, I said my gut feeling is Vanderbilt because two of his best friends, including Winston Garland's son, have signed with Vanderbilt. And all three of them came up through AAU basketball, and they're really tight. So I thought the three of them would get together, the three amigos. And then when I heard about the press conference, I made the mistake because my source said, "Yeah, Vanderbilt's it," and I tweeted that. And 3 or 4 minutes later, there's like 40 replies. Hey, he hasn't named it yet. He's just starting his press conference now. And then of course he mentioned Indiana. And, oh, my God, did I get the feedback from people I thought were friends to complete strangers? One guy, I don't know where he's from, but he said, yeah, that guy, he heard it from a person who once drove through Bloomington and has a friend that passed by Vanderbilt on the way to work and owns a cat. This is how ridiculous the feedback was because I jumped the gun. And I got videos of Trump, President Trump, yelling about fake news, fake news, fake news. And then Doug Nelson, who's a coach in the area, said, yeah, everybody wants to be number one today over getting the truth. The truth is not as important to them as being number one and breaking a story. So I apologize. I said my source whiffed on this one.
I saw your
but please remember,
Twitter.
Only the Pope is infallible. And some people like that reply, but I will never again go out on the limb and try to predict something. It's just, it's not worth it. Not worth all the aggravation.
It says right here, I'll just read the text. I called it New Albany's Romeo Langford, the country's number 3 recruit to Vanderbilt. Put your hands together for Bryce Drew. And then Al's next tweet is, my source whiffed on this one. Remember, only the Pope is infallible. So I can't even imagine the ribbing you've been taking.
Still getting it.
Does anybody want to rib Al?
No,
219-845-1100.
That's okay.
Hey, Al, I've gotten them wrong. I've gotten plenty wrong, man. And I've run the risk of having to talk so long and go out in the community. I say stupid stuff all the time.
But you don't tweet. I don't ever see any tweets from you.
No, I don't. I'm on for 3 hours a day, and that makes a little bit of a difference. I mean, you write one article and then you do have, and I kind of try to center what I have to say on this show. And once in a while, I'll go out and do my answer to tweeting is doing Facebook Live videos. By the way, I did the Mascot Hall of Fame video. You didn't see that, did you? You got to check that out. Al Spager and Joe Stahura, they're going to have a Mascot Hall of Fame induction ceremony near the end of this year. And Nittany Lions going in, Tommy Hawk, maybe Benny the Bull, and the Kansas City one I'd never heard of, some Kansas City one. And Dad, have you been down there yet?
I've driven by several times. It was very unfortunate, the story that was in the paper weeks ago about the 2 punks that came in and trashed the place. I know that broke Joe's heart. And then shortly after that, somebody went to, I guess, the park and trashed some cameras, video cameras, security cameras, and bent some signs. These people need to be dealt with seriously. And again, I'm speaking as an old curmudgeon, but the kids were caught. The 2 punks were caught. They were found on video. I mean, clear as day, they were able to be identified and caught. And they were like 15 years old. I would talk jail time. Put them in a cell for a week. Don't let mommy and daddy write a check. Put them in a cell for a week, and then have them come down to the facility that they just trashed, give them a couple of gallons of paint, a brush, a couple of drop cloths, and let them clean up the mess they made. That's the way I would do it.
They had to get the entire interior of the building repainted, and that was tens of thousands of dollars. I guess the possible silver lining is that the paint manufacturer was so impressed with the building and the plan that they may become one of the sponsors of one of the exhibits. So it may work out in the end, but I got to tell you, they're really they got something there. And I hadn't done very much on it, so I went down and took a tour and did a little video. I don't know, a few thousand people have watched the video because it's really that cool of a place. I haven't, you guys haven't necessarily picked up on it that much either. But I would suggest, man, getting behind that thing. It's a great project for the region.
There's nothing inside yet, is there? As far as displays?
No, but they just finished the building, and that's a big deal. Okay. It's a really kind of a cool building, and I thought I would go down there and do a video, and then maybe do a video after they brought some of the exhibits in. Al, Pop's wife died. You talked to him?
No, I haven't been able to. He's kept a very low profile. He didn't coach the last few games of their series with Golden State. He stayed out of sight. There's a memorial at the Air Force Academy in about another week. That may be the first time he makes a public appearance. Erin had been sick for a long time, but then she took a turn for the worse. You're married to somebody for 41 years, and they're your strongest support staff. It's rough. 2 kids. Kids have been very supportive. They're adult children. But it's got to be rough on him, and he is so private. He's not, he's not going to come out and make any kind of a statement. Every NBA team, after they're eliminated from playoffs or after the season, they have the coach has a press conference where he wraps up that season. Well, Pop hasn't done anything with the Spurs yet. He may even have one of his assistants do it, when the media is called in, the San Antonio media. I feel bad for him. Usually when I've had to get a hold of him, it's by email. And right now, I'm sure he's got millions, a million emails from all over the world, but he's just not going to be responding or replying. This is going to take a long time to get over.
Is he going to coach again?
Oh, yeah, he'll coach. He'll coach. He made the comment a couple of years ago to me, well, you can only retire and plant so many tomatoes, and then it gets boring. He likes to teach. He likes to see new faces every couple of years that he can develop and bring along as players. The fire is still there. People might not think so. They may just think he's a grouchy old guy, but really he's a very personable, caring individual. Great sense of humor. You don't see it unless you're there on game night, like we see it. I wish him the best. I wish he would walk in here and sit down so that fans could call in and say, how they feel about the job he does. Because I always tell him, you still have a region following whenever he's in Chicago to play the Bulls. And he'll say, oh, people have forgotten about me. I said, no, you have a region following. Yeah. There's always a busload of Spurs fans, Popovich fans that come down to the United Center every time they play. And after the game, he'll walk up. The United Center is empty. He'll walk up into the higher level seats, and there'll be 50, 60 people waiting to shake his hand and reminisce old times. High school friends, acquaintances. They'll stay that late after the game. And then he'll change, and he'll go right up there, and he'll sit down in the bleachers with them. Even though the bus is warming up out in the parking lot, getting ready to go back to the hotel
and Tim
or the
Duncan's
airport.
waiting in it.
Yeah,
and he's got
that's
to
happened.
Yeah,
that's happened. A special guy.
He's Al Hamnick. Al, like always, thanks for coming in. A little bit of sports this hour here is honestly that's my first love and Al's first love. And we had, and this video is going to end right now, but you can go back about an hour on it, and on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and you can see Larry Moore and Jermaine Boyette, and you will be able to see that they're trying to raise $8,000 to buy a shoot away. If you don't know what that is, well, it's just basically a machine to be able to bring the ball back to you. Quite frankly, all of the suburban high schools have them. Hammond High's trying to raise the money. Pete Corellis and Tom Kuhn are the first guys to help them out. Let's get this done. I want him to call me in the next day or two to say, hey, don't worry about it. We got it, Jim. You don't need to push it anymore. All right, Al, thanks for coming in.
Take care.
All right, guys, quick look at traffic before I give it over to Kuziak and Reardon. That's a paid show coming up. 294 around the city looks pretty good up to Cicero, and then it's tight. So allow extra time up to O'Hare. 80 going east and west looks pretty good. The Bishop Ford, a little bit tight on the merge and on the southern end of the Dan Ryan. So it's a watch to Bishop Ford. The Skyway and the toll road are moving along well. The Borman, I-65, US 30, and Klein Avenue are all moving along pretty well. All right, guys, traffic brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda. And our good friends at the Ironworkers, it is the good friends at the Laborers. Tell us it's going to be 80 degrees today. Right now, it's still hanging out in the upper 60s at the Strachan Van Til Studios, 67 here, and it's 68 over there in Porter County at Local 395. Should be about 81, 82 degrees here at the Strachan Van Til Studios. Tomorrow, maybe a little bit of cloudiness later, and then tomorrow we got some thunderstorms coming in. By Friday, a lot cooler, but sunny. All right, guys, I'm out. Kuziak and Reardon are in. Like always, thanks for listening and thanks for watching. I'm Jim Diedlow on AM 1230, WJLB 104.7 FM in Hammond, and also on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube in video, and on the TuneIn app in audio. We're trying to follow you guys wherever you're going on your phones, and hopefully we are. See you later.
John Salzader, Democratic candidate for North Township Advisory Board. You have heard me on these air